Thank you, everybody, for coming. Welcome. We're gathered here a few days before Rosh Hashanah. We're here for an important tzedakah, and we're here to imbibe the words of inspiration and Torah of one of our jewels in Klal Yisrael, Rabbi Wachsman. And what better way for us to make hachana for our own pleadings this coming year. Be'ez Hashem, everybody should be benched with a ksiva sima tova and a gebench yar in every manner. Just one life. Rabbi Katz is here, as he is every year. He'll share a few minutes with us about the organization. But in one sentence or less, the organization works with Jewish women, Israelis, who either through economic distress or sociological issues, problems, family problems, are looking to terminate their pregnancies. And the organization sustains those families with funds, with psychological support and other means in order to let these babies, these Jewish babies, come to life. And Baruch Hashem, there's some amazing stories the organization has, but I believe it's over 20,000 Jewish babies that the organization is responsible for bringing to Chiyus. So just share one quick thought with you. This week's parsha, pasuk says, "V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha." Supposed to return to Hashem. Then a few psukim later it says, "Mola Hashem Elokecha es levavcha." Hashem will circumcise, cut out the dross in our hearts, purify us. If we already return to Hashem, why do we need to have a milah, circumcision on the heart? And then, two psukim later, Va'ata tashuv, you're going to return again to Hashem. So the Or Chaim HaKadosh explains that there are really three elements, three aspects for a person to return to Hashem. The first is represented by V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha, is Talmud Torah. We have to learn. In fact, he says the learning is a catalyst for everything else. We all want to know, how can we change? How can we do things better this year? How can we become a new Bria? It all starts with learning, so Or Chaim HaKadosh says. And the unlearned should learn. And those who are learners should learn more. And then the other two elements, as represented by the other two psukim, are guarding against the low saseis and performing the mitzvah sasei. That's what we need, these three psukim. But it's all about Talmud Torah. That's the essential element, an ingredient in beginning and getting on the right road for tshuva. So we have a tremendous chus to have Rabbi Wachsman here. And Mirz Hashem, he will inspire us with words of Torah and his orus. Before that, we just ask Rabbi Katz to please speak about the organization for a few minutes.
First of all, the good news, there's no video because this group have seen the video many times. There's a slideshow that you were seeing, and basically it's our products, Baruch Hashem. Postin b'chvod achsanya, I don't know if it's 18 years, 20 years, 22 years, the Skydels have opened their home. And as I've stated often, if we saved 18,000 babies, and Mr. Zev Brenner is here, who has put me on his radio show, who often says it's not 18,000. He actually says you start to deal with descendants. The 18,000 could be 36,000, 54,000, 72,000, 90,000. But if we saved over 18,000, a tremendous percentage goes to the Skydels and the group of people from this community who continually support us. There's some, I have to just give note to some chashuv rabbanim that are here. And I'm going to start what I would say in my time, an older statesman, if I can, and that's Rav Karasik, okay? Those of us who learned Yitzchak Elchanan by Rav Yoshe Ber, the Karasik name was well known. It was a Talmud, a Ben Torah, and again, you come every year, and Mark and I, who's in Eretz Yisrael, Shamash and Aliyah, and it's the Yortzeit. We went to school, we go back over 50 years, and thank you again, Mr. Rav Karasik, for continually coming. Other Rabbanim, I think I got everybody. Harav Mintz, Rosh Kolo, Harav Bumberg, Rav Mark Wilds, Rav Zachariah Adler, who's from Passaic, who's in charge of Daf HaShavua, Rav Alan Schwartz, I believe I saw, and I think I got everybody, and I'm apologizing if I missed. I also want to welcome Jack Forgash, who's chairman, dreamer, and founder. Where is Jack? I think everybody's already met him, okay, who's here with Stuart. Roll back the clock 30 years ago. A young Jack Forgash is sitting next to a rabbi by the name of Solomon Schaffman. They read an article in the paper. The amount of those in Eretz Yisrael that are terminating. You could read an article and you could say, oy vey. Or you could suddenly read an article and look at each other and say, what do we do? And pardon the pun, that is the birth of this cause. What do we do? On a personal note, I have never done this, but I really want to do this. And that is, I've gotten to know many people, and they asked me, so you're involved in the cause, but how did you learn? What was your Shulchan Aruch for the nonprofit world? What taught you in terms of integrity, dealing with people, what to say, what not to say, how to act? Of course, it's based on the Torah, but who was your role model? I've never said this, but it's about time I did. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Fred Ehrman is Marty Katz's mentor. So, who are we? What are we? What do we do? How do we do it? We love babies. We love people. Pregnancy in crisis. A woman could possibly consider terminating. And by the way, most of our cases are married. A family, she may possibly miscarry. There could be depression. There could be drugs in the house. I'm saying it bluntly. Any kind of scenario with pregnancy in crisis, we are the house. I often say we're the house that Ruth built. We have a menu of many items. And we are called because the founding social worker was one of the professionals in Israel, who's now retired, Mrs. Madeline Gittleman, and she's one of the people on the board in Israel, and that's how we expanded and we grew from when Jack and Rav Schaffman sat and read an article. We added different components. How do we do it? No, it's not that an expectant mother knocks on the door. Referrals. We have networked in so many cities. Tel Aviv, Renana, Beersheba, Yerushalayim, we've networked. The social worker, or the doctor, or the Rebbitzin, or a psychologist calls our office, a client's gonna come in or call you, and no, it's emes v'yatziv v'kayim v'neman, it's the truth. That's how we receive our cases, so we know they're real cases. I'm saying this delicately. We handle single moms. Not so many, we handle them. The original rabbinical advisor, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, was Rav Avram Pam. Jetzt, it's Rav David Feinstein. I could tell you, Rav Pam used to say to me, Rav Menachem, if there are single women considering terachmonis, you could fill in the word, it's the same mitzvah of hatzalos nefashos. I still remember having juice with him and his Rebbitzin, and he would say, don't be judge and jury. Your job is the hatzalah. Yoina, that's Jack, his job is the hatzalah. We have no idea where these children will be. How do we do it? There's a team of social workers, Chaya Katzin, Shira, and Sarala. And each has an expertise. One of the social workers, Chaya, her expertise, and she's the head social worker, and she's the head of the project director. Her expertise is what's called cognitive reasoning, thinking, and therapy. Please don't ask me anymore. That's about all I know. Shira, hers is what's called psychoanalytical therapy and group work. And Sarala is drama therapy. The case comes in, Chaya analyzes it and makes the call which of the therapists help. And there are volunteers that come in, some schoolgirls, American girls who are at seminary, and the rest is, honestly, history. I want to tell you something. Not far from the Skydell home happens to be a nurse who just gave birth that called me, say, Rabbi Katz, I've been looking for you. I'm due to give birth in the next few weeks. I volunteered. My husband was learning, and I volunteered in Israel for 7 months. And I just want to tell you what kind of a place and what kind of work they do. So that's how we handle it. That's the method. It sounds simple. It's not so simple. We've seen hardships. I can't begin to tell you what we've seen. And Baruch Hashem, of over 18,000 babies born, all the mothers have kept these babies. Okay? Every mother's kept the babies, which is an amazing statistic. I ask you to become part of the mission, part of the team. $1,800 is a baby. However you want to give, please. We're going into this evening with literally a few kindergartens of children, believe it or not, thanks to this man on my left, who I don't know where he finds the time. I don't know where Rachel finds the time. They are continually just helping Klal Yisrael, and they should only be benched. And you should applaud because I'm going to call up the Rosh Hashiva in a minute, but I told him I was here an hour and a half before. He has nothing to do, Mr. Skydell. He spent an hour and a half, not just about Just One Life, about Marty Menachem Katz, what's doing, how you are, how's your family, what's happening. An hour and a half. And I've heard it from so many people in the room. So you should only have brachas, and you should only have hatzlach in everything you do. This is the first time I'm introducing the Rosh Hashiva, Ephraim Wachsman. And if you do your homework, you know that if you start talking too much in your introduction, that's not who he is. I could just tell you that yesterday I spent 8 minutes with Wachsman on the phone, thanks to the Gabbai of Moshe Nosson, who was an incredible Gabbai, a Zah warmth, a Zah person. After the 8 minutes, I basically emailed Harry to say, I'm more than inspired. I feel like I've been an under a mensch. I'm a different person. So it's a big covet for us. It's a big covet to have the Rosh Hashiva stand here. And I just want to tell you, Rosh Hashiva, when you stand here, there's a little picture here. It's a picture of triplets. You see, in the last few months, this project, we've been responsible for 3 sets of triplets. And when I went to Eretz Yisrael, Rosh Hashiva, besides visiting the triplets, I was zeicha. There's a set of quadruplets that are 20 years old. 20 years old. They have an older sister. They made a wedding, and Jack Kedarko made sure there was funds there for the wedding, for the chasana. And it's a from family, 10 children. The doctors told her to fetal reduce. I close with this, and then to fetal reduce. I think I've told the story. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. I have no idea why. Somehow I heard about it. Jack heard about it. Madeline Gittleman heard about it. The founding board member, who's a Dr. Shimon Glick, heard about it. We looked at the records. I'm not a doctor. Dr. Glick looked at the records and says, well, I don't understand why the doctors are saying this. The doctors literally said to her, so which 2 do you want to pick? And this woman ate in the Skydale house on a Shabbos. She was here a year ago. She was in Teaneck where Jack is. Kitzur Maisa, the 4 boys are 20 years old. 1 year of Quinn from Teravadatz, Oliver Shalom, he visited Eretz Yisrael, and he visited the quadruplets. Some are in Koilel, some are in business, some are in national service. It's quite a fascinating story that probably keeps us going. I remember going there for the bar mitzvah. B'chavod Rav, the inspiration that we're about to hear will be a trembling inspiration without a doubt. My pleasure to introduce Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Ephraim Wachsman.
Just want to say that the evening is dedicated to Le'ili Nishmas Pesha Bas Yitzchak, whose yahrzeit is tonight, Mrs. Peppa Karasik, Allah Shalom, and to Joseph Wasner, Yosef Menachem Mendel, Ben Avram, whose yahrzeit is just ending from today, and Refuah Shlema to Shimon Ben Miriam Hindel. Please.
Poischem b'chvoid Achsanya, Reb Harry and his Bnei Bayis, whose home is a source of inspiration and chizuk. The Rebbeinu Shloim shall helfen that it should always be a place which brings about Kvod Shemayim. You should be zoiche to continue to do your extraordinary avodas hakodesh, b'toich brius and nachas and simcha and siyata d'shmaya and everything that you do. Rabbi Katz, it's a little bit difficult to address the oil when I've got such an adorable picture here. I mean, what more do you have to say? What is there to say? When you see something like this, we all feel blessed to be here, to be part of such a avodas hakodesh, of atzolos nefashos, of the type that only Oivdei Hashem, Kinder of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov can understand it to its very depth. We're in the days of slichas. Slichas, imagine if somebody knows he has a judgment, he has a court case, and it's a question of life and death, and he's given the opportunity to have a private audience with the judge before the case. And he says we can speak privately, no one's going to hear what we have to say. That's slichas. Slichas of the world is asleep. And Klal Yisrael goes, whether it's at night or early in the morning, Asher Yachtov Namtik Soid, to have our private, secret time with the Shofet Kol Haaretz, Beveisa Likim Nahalech Berogesh. And when we come into slichas, we say a tefillah that's unusual. We don't find it anywhere during the year. We turn to the Rabbeinu Shalom. We ask for things for this reason, based on this merit, for this cause. We have so many different explanations in our tefillahs. Slichas, we say, Rabbeinu Shalom, loy bechesed, v'loy b'masim, bonu l'fanecho, kedalim u'cheroshim. We just have one thing to say to you. HaNeshama loch v'haguf shaloch. We are yours. More than that, we don't have to say. And why is it that this is the way we express ourselves, particularly in this time of the year? Now, I saw from one of the tzaddikim, I'm not sure, I think it was the Apter Rov, said he heard from a Rov of a town. In the old days, when you got up for slichas, the shamash would go through the town knocking on the doors. Yidin steht auf zu slichas. It was a whole niggin that they sang. And the Rav asked the Shamash, said, you knocked on my door, and I felt, when you're knocking, I felt such a hisoirus entering me. I felt myself being so uplifted. What is it? What kavanas do you have? He says, look, I'm a simple Shamash. My father was a Shamash. My grandfather was a Shamash. I don't know. My father told me that when you knock to wake up a person for slichas, you knock 3 times, and I should think Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yankov. More than that, I don't know. Now, perhaps the secret kavanah that was passed down generation to generation of shamosim was perhaps the message of this entire tkufa and of slichas is to remind us who we are. We are children of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Sometimes in all the clutter that fills our heads and our minds and keeps us so busy, we forget that we really belong to a different time and a different place. We're really an Am Levadod Yishkoin. We can cut through all the generations and go right back to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And when we come to Slichas, that's what it's about. We find a time that's not part of the normal Seder of Zman B'chlal. We're not in the system of time or space, of Olam, Shana, or Nefesh. We're someone else. We are the children of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Here, understanding that, telling our Father, HaNeshama loch v'haguf shaloch. And that's really the oimek, the depth of tshuva. What does tshuva mean? Some people think tshuva means repentance. That's not the translation of tshuva. Tshuva means return, shav. We return by repenting, but the purpose is to return. To return to what? To return to our root, to our shirish, to our true identity, which we often forget. What is tshuva about? HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs us to bang on our chests. He needs us to fast. He needs us to go through all of these different things, to charata, to say vidya, to confess. Well, what does Rabbi Shalom have from that? All of that is just a way that, there's a way you clean a suit and there's a way you cleanse a neshama. To take all the chaff, all the excess that has attached itself to our neshamas who are just children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and all the action of Charata, V'dibeper, Vaziva, Sachet, that's what it's about, to go back to who we are, to who we always were. And who are we? We are our neshamas. We're neshamas. Yes, we have gufim, but that's not who we are. We also have shoes. It's not who we are. We are our neshamas. Has anybody ever seen a neshama? What would you see if you saw your neshama? Today is the yard side. I think it's still depending which man you keep. It's still the yard side of the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim's yard side. And everybody remembers a while back when they discovered a long hidden film of the Chafetz Chaim was buried away, some archive close to 100 years. And what went on, everybody was talking about it. Somebody told me he saw it over 100 times. He couldn't stop. And I know Talmidei Chachamim Muflogim who would watch this and burst down in tears and weep every time they saw it. You see the Chafetz Chaim, what it does to a Yid, and you see Chafetz Chaim walking, just see him. And that's just a picture of the Chafetz Chaim's guf. That's just a picture. Imagine the Chafetz Chaim were to walk in right now, the gufay. What would happen? We would all faint, right? You'd have a massive Hatzalah call going on here. Right? Imagine getting a bracha. Imagine seeing the luminous countenance of the Heilige Chafetz Chaim. What it would mean to us. There's more light in everyone's neshama than in 1,000 Chafetz Chaims. I mean, the Chafetz Chaim that we can see. I'm not talking about his neshama. If you could see your neshama, there would be more brilliance there than 1,000 of Shim Bayachois. Do you know how light your neshama is? What the light of your neshama is? So the Paytan says, Simu leiv al neshama. Look at your neshama. Oiro ke'oir hachamo. Its light is like the light of the sun. Think of that. The light of the sun. There's a ball in the fire in the heavens every day that lights up the entire world. It's not just here. It's bringing light to Eretz Yisrael, to Australia, to the North Pole, to the South Pole, the same sun. The sun has enough light in it to light up the whole world. It warms the whole world. It nourishes. It brings growth to everything in existence. That's just a moshel for what your neshama looks like. Your neshama is shivosayim ka'oir haboiker. 7 times greater than that. That's what it means to have a neshama. This is the time of the year when we remind ourselves that we are neshamas. We're here tonight with our neshamas to shake off all that's not really us and connect to the Heilig Yiddish neshama that's in every one of us. But what does it mean to have a Yiddish neshama? The Ramak says in the Sefer Toima Dvoire, not just each of us has a neshama. In every Yid's Neshama, there's a small piece of the Neshama of every other Jew in the world. And he says that's why, so whenever you do something good, you learn Torah, you do a mitzvah, what you did is you lifted up every Neshama in Klal Yisrael, because there's a part of every Jew's Neshama inside your Neshama. So having a Yiddish Neshama is not a simple thing. It's what connects us and makes us all one. Now imagine, remember when Russia was still under the communists and Jews Nebuch were struggling to be able to get out. And imagine there was a Yid, a father, a Zayda, a patriarch of a big family. And he was fighting for years to take his family out to go to Eretz Yisrael, to get visas. And you know what went on? You struggled for years and you lost your job and sometimes you went to jail. He did everything. And after years and years of yigiyah, of toil, of just giving his life away for this, he finally was able to procure visas for all of his children and grandchildren. And it came the day they went to the port to get to the ship. They're going to leave. They're coming to Eretz Yisrael. They're going to Eretz Yisrael. Now, as they get there, so the authorities start looking at each one of their papers and stamps. Everyone that gets left on the ship, they come to the old man, to the Zayda, and look at his paper, says, no, yet. It's not in order. Something's wrong. You know, when they wanted to make you crazy, there's nothing you could do about it. And he's arguing and pleading. But no, you have to start the process all over again. Now, he knows what that means. That means they're not letting him out of here. But he has all his children. They're all ready to go on the ship to Eretz Yisrael. So the old man got up and he says, my dear children, I want to speak to you. I did everything to get you to be able to go to Eretz Yisrael. You're all going. I'm staying behind. They're not going to let me go. But here are my final words to you. Wherever you go, remember, what I ask of you is, look out for one another. I ask that you care about each other. When anybody is in a time of need, he should be able to turn to his brother, to his sister, to ask for help. That's my final words to you. We're going to lay in this Shabbos Moshe Rabbeinu's last drasha. Moshe Rabbeinu led Klal Yisrael through the slavery of Mitzrayim, through the redemption of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the triumph of Kriyas Yamsuf, the glory of Matan Torah, and all the trials and tribulations of the sojourn in the Midbar, the terrible humiliation of the Chet HaEgel, the national still ongoing tragedy of the Chet HaMeraglim and the mutiny of Kairach, all that, just to get Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. And here, they're about to enter. And finally, all of the years of leadership, he's going to be Zoicha, and Hashem says, no, Moshe, you stay behind. Everyone can go, but you have to stay behind. So Moshe Rabbeinu gathered together Klal Yisrael and says, I want to speak to you. Atem nitzavim hayoim kulchem, lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. Roshechem, Shiftechem, Ziknechem, V'sheitrechem, Kolish Yisrael. You're all here. Tapchem, Neshechem, V'gecheshem, V'sherecho, V'kerev Machanechem, V'choite B'tzechet Shemech. What do I have to tell you? La'ovrecha b'vris Hashem Elekechu v'olosai. And the Chaim HaKadosh asks, bris? It just says, Elul divrei bris. Right on the end of Parshas Kisavai. What, there's a new covenant? Which bris is Moshe Rabbeinu talking about? Says the Chaim HaKadosh. He was talking about a new bris. There was a bris of Torah mitzvahs, and there's a separate covenant of Kol Yisrael Alevim Zeh Bozeh. I have one thing to tell you, Moshe Rabbeinu said. I'm staying behind. You have to remember you're all responsible for one another. That is the bris, the final drasha, the final words, the parting words Moshe Rabbeinu said to us. What does it mean we're responsible for one another? We're responsible for each other's chatoim. We're responsible for each other's ability to be mekayim Torah mitzvahs. Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu make us responsible for somebody else's averis? Why? I once heard a word, not from a Rav or a Shiva, I heard from a Balabayas, a businessman, very special man, big Baal Tzedakah. And he was sitting in the sukkah, and I was talking to him. He said, it's bothering me. I can't understand it. I can't understand. Why am I responsible for what another Jew does? I'm sitting here in the sukkah singing Shirs Hashbachas to the Rabbeinu Shalom, and there's somebody who's on the streets in Paris and he's sinning, and it's my responsibility. And you know what he said? Something unbelievably profound. He says, you know why I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu said we're responsible? Because he knew the only way to guarantee that we'll love one another is to tell us that we are responsible for what the other one does. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted a guarantee that Klal Yisrael will love each other. He said, you're responsible for one another. What have we come together for tonight? To be arevim zelozeh. To be responsible for one another. And in this way to show our love for every single Yid and all of those neshamas that are inside our neshamas. Kol Yisrael arevim zelozeh. This organization, Just One Life, as you heard from Rabbi Katz, goes about its work not just efficiently, but very lovingly, with a great sense of responsibility, with a sense of caring. And their main avodah is to show these women who they are, to show them their neshamas. 2 weeks ago, in our shul, probably in every shul, the Gabbai gave a clap on the bima before the Haftarah. There's going to be 2 Haftarahs this week, because those who laned Hashamayim Kissi and Rosh Chodesh Elul still owed one of the Zayin the Nechemtes, so you had to lane 2 Haftarah Zayin the Nechemte. At the time, it seemed so contradictory. It's Erev Rosh Hashanah. You know, Malachim Yechafez, and there's a day of judgment. There's a time of anxiety, the Pachad of Da'im Adin. So we missed one Haftarah with the Nechama. This Shabbos is still the last Shabbos of the year. It's Erev Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, and we're going to lay again a Nechama. How did these 2 Hergeshim go together? And then an image came to mind. I remember a childhood memory. When I was a child, we once went from Lavamalka to visit my aunt, my father's sister. And they were schmoozing, the previous generation. I was always interested to know more about my grandparents, who I never knew. They were killed in the war. And my aunt was talking about her when they arrived to Auschwitz. She was a teenager, and Mengele Yamach Shemoy separated them. They sent the young ones to the right, and the older ones to the left. And there were many mothers with children. And these were the Hungarian Jews who came in 1944, but there were Polish Jews who were there already for a few years, and they were already working in the camp. And they were running between the rows, hissing, whispering to the Jewish women, "Los the kinder, just we'll come back for them later." Telling the young mothers, just don't stand with your children. They were trying to save their lives, because they knew that the mothers who would stay with the children would be taken. And it was a great confusion. Nobody knew what to do. Some was telling them, but some went with the children, some didn't. As we all know the history of it was. And there were a lot of children, little babies, who were separated, screaming, crying. And my aunt said that the last memory she has of her mother was really an older woman, and she went to the left. She saw her marching off to die al Kiddush Hashem, and she was holding 2 babies in her arms, not her children. They were crying, comforting them. And wherever you looked, you saw they were older women who were holding children who weren't theirs, holding them by the hands or carrying them, consoling them. Now think about it. A Yiddish mama. Think about it. They're in their last moments of life. They're about to cry Shema Yisrael, about to die al Kiddush Hashem. But a child is crying. He needs comforting. A Yiddish mama. I have to be Menachem. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, yes, it's Yom Adin, Malachim Yechafezen. The whole world is trembling. That my children went through a Chorban Beis Hamikdash. They still need consolation. I'm not going to leave out one word of comfort. If we left out one word of the Haftarah, we have to learn it again. Because a Jew has to do what he has to do. Just One Life opens up for these women, awakens in them the Yiddish mama, the Neshama, the rotzen to comfort, with the greatest comfort of all, to bring to life another Yiddish kind into the world. And this is our achrayus. These neshamas are crying to us. They can't choose for themselves. We have to choose. Uvacharto b'chaim. And what are we saying? What could be a more appropriate schus before the Yom Adin, when we're all begging for chayim, zachreinu l'chayim? What are we saying? You know, today, the secular culture, it has an effect on everyone, on all of us, no matter what, no matter how much we're eating, but we breathe this stuff in. And we think, yeah, you're here, we're going to save, you know. What are these children going to grow up into? Many are destitute. You heard this drug abuse, and what kind of world are they going to live in? What's going to happen to them? Who's going to... And we're saying, life, Bayahid, to us, the most precious thing in the world is life. And of course, they do what they can to make things easier for them. But we're crying out in a world that has decided that cruelty is mercy and mercy is cruelty. We say life, any life, just life. So we say to the Rebbeinu Shalom, when you have to pachas mi yichya mi yomas, so maybe I should be doing better, maybe my life should be more exalted, but life, I'm machshav life, I'm ready to give of myself. For a Yiddish kind, for his very life. And when we sit here tonight, we're sitting on a bezdin, and we're asked to paskin mi yichya mi yomas. And there could not be a greater schus liyayim adin. B'sayrusa de lasata, the way we paskin ourselves, that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu paskins for us. And Rosh Hashanah, that's what it's about. Rosh Hashanah is understanding the power of potential. Now we just learned the parasha of Bikurim. They made a huge parade because of Bikurim. Well, what's the big deal? You know, understand, you see a beautifully grown field. Nothing's grown yet. It's called Reishis. Bikurim is the Indian of Rosh Hashanah. Reb Tzaddik writes, Or zorua la tzaddik el yisher leiv simcha. A tzaddik is somebody who can see the oir in a zriya. He can see the light in something that's just starting to blossom. Hasn't yet realized its full potential. He says, Samachta b'chol ha'toiv, we make a simcha because we know that from this little kernel there's going to be a big, beautiful field. Today, many people can't relate to that. I want to see results. I want to see now the ability to see. And that's what is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is Hayoim Haras Oilom. Haras is Hiroyoim. It's a pregnancy. Rosh Hashanah is an expectant mother. Where everything is being determined. It's a potential. That's why it's so delicate and so sensitive and very emotional. Hayoim Haras Oilom. If we will bring chiyas and understand that Yidden live in the oir of a zriya, ule yishrei leiv simcha, then we'll have understood the lesson, the depth of what Rosh Hashanah really means. That the future is now. What's going to happen during the year is now. Say the Chazon Ish was once learning with Chavrus in the middle of the summer, and a fly was buzzing around. And he said, "Das Rosh Hashanah dike flieg." Rosh Hashanah, they were guys that the fly should come just now. Rosh Hashanah, everything's happening in Rosh Hashanah. It's only here, Ryan. That's what it is. Entire life, entire year, entire existence. That's what this organization is about. To see future where all you see in front of you is so bleak, so hopeless, so much despair. To see, no. There's a future. That's what makes us who we are. The Rebbeinu Shalom zal helfen. We should all have the schus to be part of this great mishpat that we're all taking part of. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us the wisdom to choose wisely, wholeheartedly, generously, Yiddishly, like a Yid, like a child of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Really feel that our attitude to this mission is truly defining of who we are, especially in today's world. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Knock it into ourselves. That's who we are. That's why we're so different. We think differently. We look differently. We dream differently. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us all of Klal Yisrael. Should bless us with a ksivach sima toiva, good gebencht ya, simche, nachas, good health, parnosse, zivugim hagunim, for all Yiddish kinder who need nachas from children. Above all, a shnas gula v'Yeshua that will solve all the problems in one glorious moment. Should be zeiche to v'hoya b'yoyim ahu yitaka b'shoifa godel. We'll see uvo oivdim beretz Asher v'anidochim beretz Mitzrayim. Zeiche to ha gut gebencht ya shnas gula v'Yeshua b'yis Mashiach tzedkeinu b'mheira b'yameinu amen.